来るな。来るな。今お前に触れられたら俺は二度と
What would you do to make your dream a reality? In order to achieve your lifelong goal, what would you be willing to sacrifice? Some of us would give their whole life, their time and energy, in order to touch, even for a moment, the dream they have had since childhood. They would work tirelessly and sacrifice time with friends and family for a single chance to fulfill that goal. However, some of us would prefer, instead of sacrificing ourselves for our dream, to sacrifice the dream of everyone else in an act of self-indulgence that can only be described as the dark side of ambition. Kentaro Miura, in the amazing story of Berserk, shows us the measures people are willing to take for their dream to be actualized, and how the will of a single person can shift the tides of the lives of everyone lucky or unlucky to be in close proximity to them. There once was a young boy named Griffith, a kid of common birth and poverty. Hunger would often strike his young body. Even a slice of bread was hard to obtain. As a kid, he would play with the other children on a cobblestone path. But even in his young age, Griffith was aiming for something more. Even as the sun was setting and the light was slowly vanishing from the stone streets he grew up in, from a schism between the houses, he could glimpse at a beautiful castle that was so high up that it was still showered in the glorious light of the sun, while Griffith was stuck in the darkness of the claustrophobic alleys he was raised in. It was then that he swore to attain that thing, to get his own kingdom. That was his dream, to rise above his hard life and give up the junk trinkets he would win from the other kids for gold and a castle in his name. Griffith, now a teenager, forms his own mercenary group called the Band of the Hawk, including personalities like the lovable Corcus, Judo, and Pippin. Griffith first met Casca when he rescued her from a nobleman who had bought the young girl for the fulfillment of his monstrous lust. These loving friends and battle-hardened warriors fought side by side throughout the years, emerging victorious from battle after battle. With the leadership of Griffith and the abilities of his band, it would seem that nobody could put an end to their glorious rise. Especially after Guts joins the group, there is no army that can hope to stand against them. Guts once managed to buy Casca some time in order to escape from the Tudor army that was chasing them. Guts let Casca leave and stayed behind, managing to kill approximately 100 of the enemy soldiers, littering the forest with bodies on top of bodies, gaining then the legendary title of the 100-Man Slayer. As you can see, the Band of the Hawk at its prime was an unstoppable force of determination for an escape from the hunger-driven mercenary lives. Following Griffith meant not only being part of the strongest mercenary group, but also hopes of something more, something that Griffith seems to be aiming for, a dream of wealth and security, a dream that the young followers of Griffith were more than willing to die for. Even after Griffith attained knighthood for protecting the Kingdom of Midland from the Black Ram Iron Lance cavalry, the success of the band seemed unstoppable. Griffith was determined to achieve it all. The band was more than willing to help him. Griffith, at this point, is not far from his dream. The love that Princess Charlotte has for him will most certainly land Griffith into the seat of the king once the current king is dead. Midland is almost underneath Griffith's feet. However, like everything in life, things rarely go as we plan them. As Griffith was speaking with Princess Charlotte outside of the party at Primrose Hall, Guts overhears them. Griffith explains his dream to the girl. If there is a dream which takes one's whole life to attend, there are also dreams which, like storms, devour tens of thousands of other dreams. There appears to be nothing more sacred for Griffith than his dream. In his mind, everyone should strive for that dream that makes them full. Giving in to your dream and attaining it will lead you to a regret-free life. And like a martyr, Griffith is a slave to his divine dream. Griffith cannot understand living for no reason other than being alive. For him, in order to truly live, one must have a dream independent from the dreams of the ones around him. A massive storm that, if it has to, will swallow other dreams in its way. Griffith goes on to explain what kind of person he sees as a friend. Someone who does not depend on another's dream. Someone undeterred by people's opinions or thoughts. Someone who will trample anyone daring enough to stand between them and their dream. Even if that person was Griffith himself. That person, and only that person, can Griffith truly call his equal. Guts, overhearing Griffith speak about his dream like that, realizes that he wants to have a dream of his own. He has been fighting for other people's dreams his whole life. Guts wants to be Griffith's equal and to be seen as a true friend, which pushes him to eventually duel Griffith in order to gain his independence, defeating Griffith in one blow, similarly to how Guts was beaten when they first met. Showing Griffith that in the moment, the determination of Guts to leave was larger than Griffith's to keep his strongest soldier. After Guts' victory, he walks away in search of himself. We see Guts sitting by a fire, alone, for the first time in quite a while. Guts is thinking about the Band of the Hawk, how it's possible that leaving it is not a sign of free will and a show of his dream, but simply a will to be like Griffith. However, it's too late to turn back. Guts cannot stop until he has found himself. It's at that moment that Guts senses a presence right behind him that absolutely stuns him. That aura of dread is reminiscent of Zod the Immortal, the savagery that feels like it clings. The monster is behind him. Guts is frozen to the core. If he hesitates, he will be killed. He turns around quickly and slices at the darkness. From the shadows appears the Skull Knight. The mysterious rider tells Guts the following. You struggler, take heed. 1 year hence shall be the time of the eclipse. You and your friends, those yet unseen of the flesh's flesh, and that unkingly half of yours, shall be gathered then in that place. A torrent of madness, a tempest of death, for which the human body could never atone, shall sweep over you. But take heed, struggler. You were born from a corpse and began your life from death in the mud. You are closer to death than anyone, thus you excel in escaping it. Struggle, contend, wriggle. That alone is the sword of one who confronts death. Never forget this. In the abyss of despair, only he who stands up with broken sword in hand, perhaps. The Skull Knight disappears in the darkness, leaving Guts with yet another prophecy, not too different from the one Zod gave him, like we mentioned in the previous video about Nosferatu Zod. We notice that the Skull Knight potentially refers to Griffith as the unkingly half of Guts. I truly wonder what that exactly means, but my theory is that Skull Knight knows exactly what part Guts will play in Griffith's life and future, the aforementioned eclipse and the massive dream that Griffith is chasing. The eclipse is approaching. Back in Charlotte's room, we see that Griffith has climbed up on her window and asks Charlotte to let him in. She of course obliges him, and in that room, a rain-dripping Griffith gives the princess a deep kiss. The start of the everlasting night. The newly knighted Griffith seduces the princess of Midland. He pushes her onto the bed, and as he is laying on top of her, Griffith asks her if she's afraid, and tells her to take all the scary and sad things and cast them into the fire. While Griffith was talking to Charlotte, to me it feels like he was affirming himself at this moment. The loss of Guts cannot be an easy thing for Griffith, and perhaps he is telling himself to forget and indulge in the moment. We see that during the everlasting night, Griffith cannot stop thinking about Guts. Even as him and Charlotte are fully going at it, all Griffith can think of is Guts leaving him. When the night finally ends, Griffith is sat on the bed next to a sleeping Charlotte. Instead of a feeling of happiness and satisfaction, we see him in a state of pure terror. Griffith is catching himself in his pain. The next morning, Griffith is caught by the guards as he tries to escape. He is taken away with a charge that Griffith may have committed treason against the king. The king enters his daughter's room. He notices bruises on Charlotte's neck, and thankfully unspecified liquids on the floor. Lifting up her blanket, he sees blood on the bed. It's obvious what has been done. The hawk has fallen. The proud Griffith, who rose from a commoner to a knight, gave in to his pain for the loss of his comrade, and as a result, his dream has now vanished. This time Guts isn't here to save him. We see Griffith suspended by chains in what appears to be a torture room. The King of Midland is personally whipping the young hawk. He is furious that a man of common birth has sullied his precious daughter, Charlotte. Griffith taunts the king, telling him that he probably just wanted the princess for himself. Griffith claims that there must have been many marriage proposals for a young and healthy princess like Charlotte, but the king always refused. The great King of Midland is nothing more than a miserable old man who cannot get over his own daughter growing up distant to him. Those words push the king off the edge. The whipping gets more intense. A bloodied Griffith still cracks a small smile, even when restrained, knowing that his words cut the king deep. Griffith relishes in this small victory. The king is not done yet. He orders the torturer to have his way with the hawk. But he must not die for at least a year. The hawk is punished for treason against the royal house. This is the end of your dreams, your ambition, everything. The hawk has fallen to earth. It will never take flight again. For an entire year, Griffith is to be tortured in unspeakable ways. We see how wounded the young warrior is. The torturer even takes the bayonet from him and accidentally drops it in the sewer. Meanwhile, we see that the now disheveled band of the Hawk is being attacked by Kushan warriors. They are being raided. Casca is in real danger. While fighting a warrior from the Bakiraka clan, she is knocked to the ground. But she is saved, however, by none other than Guts. Don't let some street performer do you in. Pull yourself together, unit commander. With the help of Guts, the Bakiraka clansmen are quickly defeated. However, the real danger that Guts has to face is that strict look Casca shoots his way. The band is ecstatic to see their captain again. Pippin and Judo throw their old friend an invaluable thumbs up. Guts is home. Later, we see the band of the Hawk catch Guts up on what happened to Griffith after his departure. Guts cannot believe that Griffith would throw away his dream like that, especially over Guts leaving to find his own way. Since Griffith disappeared, the band of the Hawk has been reduced to a bunch of thieves. But even being in the state they currently are would be impossible without the guidance of Casca, who in Griffith's absence has taken charge of the band of the Hawk. The next step is to rescue Griffith from this year-long punishment. We take a peek into Griffith's mind as he is brought back to his childhood, to the exact moment where he decided that that thing will be his, that bright kingdom. But then, darkness, deep darkness, without even a trace of light. Griffith is not able to tell how long he has been in the dark for. It feels to be just shy of eternity. However, in all this empty darkness, the only vivid thing is guts, malice, friendship, jealousy, futility, regret, tenderness, sorrow, pain, and hunger. These are the feelings that even when in a void of pain and emptiness, Griffith can't help but feel when Guts violently invades his numbed mind. The only thing keeping him sane. Why out of the hundreds, even thousands of hearts Griffith has touched without feeling a thing? Why out of all of them is Guts different? Griffith admits that the one thing that always defined him is his dream, his magnificent dream of obtaining the shiny kingdom that he always wanted. But in front of the thought of Guts, that kingdom, that junk, grows dull. Griffith snaps back to consciousness. From the wall emerge small dark creatures. They reach for their prince, kissing his hand and seeking an audience with him. In time, at that place, we shall meet. We are kinsmen, O blessed king of longing. Back at camp, we see our warriors ready to leave for the rescue mission. With Casca as the rightful leader of the Band of the Hawk, the Griffith Rescue Squad departs for Windham. Once they arrive at the Windham graveyard, we see that underneath one of the tombstones lies a secret passage in and out of the castle. Useful in times when royalty needs to escape, but today its use is giving our group a passage inside of the castle. We emerge at a mausoleum from cemetery to cemetery. Two cloaked figures emerge from the shadows. They are here to help. Dropping the hood, we see that the one helping with Griffith's rescue is Princess Charlotte herself. Charlotte leads us to the tower where Griffith is being kept. Judo kills the guards, keeping watch, and we march on inside. Back at the Band of the Hawk's camp, the wounded are trying to rest, waiting for their leader to come back. Rickard is happy, seeing the cheerful faces of the mercenary group that has been through so much. While away to get some water, Rickard sees what looks like an elf flying through the trees. This moment is interrupted, however, from the sound of an enemy raid. Not now, not just before Griffith comes back. Rickard is navigating the camping grounds that are now empty fires, warming up no one. Did they flee? No, there would be no time. From the darkness, we hear the word, "Run." We see a warrior of the Band of the Hawk suspended upside down by a massive demon. How can such a thing even exist? Rickard sees the bodies of the rest of the group bundled up together into a ball underneath a massive beetle monster, like beetles do with their excrement. Rickard is saved by the mysterious Skull Knight, who demands that the creatures withdraw, for they must make haste for another event. Rickard is left alone to mourn his fallen comrades. They were a single step from regaining their former glory with the return of Griffith. But in the world of Berserk, there is no such thing as best-case scenario. Down in the dungeon where the Hawk is being kept, the crew managed to find the room that Griffith is in. The once bright warrior is laying face down on the muddy floor, completely naked and exposed. The skin on his back has been whipped off. He is malnourished and one step from death. His leg and arm tendons are cut. Griffith will not be walking anywhere. His tongue has been severed. The torture was excessive and clearly sadistic. Guts and the crew were not prepared to witness Griffith in this state. The torturer appears from behind the thick door, taunting the group, flaunting the severed tongue of Griffith. Guts, in his fury, smashes through the door and stabs the torturer. After giving him a taste of his own medicine by slicing off his tongue, Guts lets the little devil fall into the depths of a dungeon, never to be seen again. It's time to escape. Guts cleaves through soldier after soldier, reminding us how he got the title of 100-Man Slayer. There's no mercy. From the tower fly a bunch of soldiers' bodies. The forces waiting outside stand no chance. Guts cuts them down with a show of hatred we rarely see from him at this point. During their escape, the crew is stopped by Wild and his group of monstrous warriors, whose sadism can be compared to that of demons. Guts cuts them down, noticing that they attack not because they're angry, but because they're afraid of the monster leading them. Guts fights Wild, but he notices a similar vibe coming off of him. It's the same as the other ones, Zod and the Skull Knight. Guts remembers the prophecies given to him by Skull Knight and Zod. Can it really be that a death Guts can never escape is upon him? Thankfully, Corcus and the rest of the Band of the Hawk join the fight just in time. We might just have a chance. The fight for Griffith is brutal. Guts is fighting Wild one-on-one, but that thing is not human. After blocking a strike with his teeth and using a tree to crush even his own men, Wild transforms into a massive apostle, much like Zod. After fighting, Guts gets knocked out by the beast. However, Wild makes a crucial mistake. His beastly nature will be his undoing. He tries to assault Casca in the middle of the fight, which breathes some new air of wrath into Guts, who manages to trick Wild into believing that he's behind a tree, but instead jumping from above and stabbing Wild in the neck and eye, knocking him down. However, he's not done quite yet. Wild keeps chasing after the wagon, eventually catching up to them. Wild is bleeding badly. He's at the brink of death, so he demands that the Hawk summons them. Summons the Great Ones. He pleads for Griffith to use the Egg of the King and summon the Guardian Angels, the 4 members of the God Hand. Even after stripping Griffith of his armor, he can't seem to find the Belit. The torturer had previously dropped it in the dungeon sewer. Suddenly, Nosferatu Zod himself appears from the sky and lands behind Wild. Zod quickly stabs Wild with his horns and lifts him up in the air. Wild pleads for his life, but it's useless. The apostles have only one commandment, he says. Do what thou wilt. Wild should be able to kill Griffith here and now. It's his right. But it's also Zod's right to rip Wild open, right here and now. Zod splits Wild in half, proving that of all the monsters, he might just be the most dangerous. Zod tells Griffith that it will return to him. This is simply the way causality works. Before flying away, Guts asks Zod what he meant by a death he will never escape. Zod tells him that with time he will understand. Zod flies away, and the body of Wild turns into the corpse of a frail old man. It seems that power was granted to him. It's not something he was born with. The Band of the Hawk is in disarray. They were expecting to start over once Griffith was with them, but in this state, Griffith will never be able to lead them again. The Band of the Hawk will never be the same again. Casca might be the leader now, but the dream they were following was Griffith's. But in the state he is, he couldn't even utter an order, much less so stand up and lead. Casca takes care of Griffith, changing his band-aids. When Griffith falls on top of her, it looks as if Griffith is trying to make love to Casca, but Casca rejects him, instead letting him lay on her. In the state he is, she couldn't harm Casca in any way. The way it comes across to me is that Griffith is in a desperate position. He went from having everything to losing it all, from his body and voice to the leading position in the group. However, what's more, I believe what Griffith wanted is to take Casca back from Guts. Griffith dreads being replaced. He dreads not being worshipped, although he never exactly says it. The Band of the Hawk is ready to follow Casca and Guts, essentially leaving Griffith behind. But Casca cannot do that. Griffith is too frail, so hurt that she couldn't bear leaving him like this. Griffith can be seen listening in on Guts and Casca, hearing everything. Suddenly a figure appears in front of Griffith. It's a vision of a healthy Griffith. He plants his sword to the ground in front of the wounded hawk and points to his side, to the marvelous castle that they have been chasing all of their lives. Griffith uses the sword as a crutch and tries to follow his young self towards his dream. His desperation has turned to hallucination. We're not done playing yet. The sun still hasn't gone down. Griffith takes the reins of the carriage and drives off, chasing the little kid, but hits a rock and crashes, flying off. Griffith sees a vision of a quiet life with Casca. In the vision, Griffith has abandoned his dream and lives in peace with the one that loves him the most, reminiscing about the Band of the Hawk. The pair's son, Guts, is seen playing with a dog outside of the house. The three of them are happy. But in the spoonful of soup that Griffith is about to eat, he sees a bearlet, which jolts him awake. Griffith lands in a small river. Even more of his limbs are broken, as if he could not get any worse. Griffith laughs maniacally at the loss of his dream. In this desperate moment, his mind breaks. Going through this unimaginable defeat is not something Griffith could ever handle. Finding a sharp tree trunk, Griffith places his neck on it, prepared to take his own life. But he slides off. He doesn't even possess the strength to end his suffering. His body is not capable of it. In the water, however, it appears. Clinging onto his fingers is the bearlet. Griffith lifts it into the air, remembering what Zod and Wild told him. The wind starts to blow. Guts is not far behind. Him and the Band of the Hawk are chasing after Griffith. Griffith stares into the sky. The sun starts to get obstructed. It seems that playtime is over. The sun is finally going down. It's a solar eclipse. Griffith starts to scream in order to keep Guts and the rest away, but it's too late. Between Griffith and the eclipsed sun are standing weird creatures that slowly approach. Apostles. Guts runs for Griffith. Griffith needs Guts to stay away. If he touches him now, if he puts his hand on his shoulder, then he will never. Guts grabs Griffith, interrupting his thought. The bearlet awakens and cries for its masters. The beautiful riverside valley they were riding in is no more. The ground and sky transform into giant heads that engulf our group. The Band of the Hawk is dumbfounded and horrified of this place. Corcus is not sure if they're dreaming or if they simply died during the pursuit of Griffith. Casca is trying to keep everyone calm when monsters appear all around them. The time has come. The time of the great nocturnal festival. The feast that happens once every 216 years. The Eclipse. The demons are ecstatic. It's here. The advent of the 4 guardian angels is upon us. One of the heads that make the hellscape they have found themselves in transforms into a woman's head. The woman rises from the ground and grows wings. From the sky descends another creature, smaller in size but just as terrifying. Soon, another one arrives, growing from the ground next to the band of the hawk. And lastly, from the eclipsed sun itself, a form appears and descends upon us. A massive skull demon is seen watching over everything, as if the leader of the apostles. The 4 members of the God Hand are here. Are they gods or demons? The leader of the God Hand, known as Void, welcomes the lambs of the ungodly god, born of man, to the nocturnal festival. Void calls upon Griffith. Thou art the chosen one. At this time, in this place, the one chosen by the hand of the great god. They even claim to be kinsmen, related to the hawk, to the blessed king of longing. Guts raises his dagger towards the God Hand members. Griffith is not a demon. He is nothing like you 4. Another member of the God Hand, Slan, chimes in, praising Guts for being a good friend to Griffith. He will make for an excellent sacrifice. A precious sacrifice so that Griffith may become a demon. Another member, Ubik, says that since the Crimson Baelit found its way into Griffith's hands, it's simply fate that he becomes a demon. All the qualities are met. After all, this is no ordinary Baelit. This is the egg of the king. Only one destined to be reborn as a member of the God Hand receives one. The rest of them are nothing but a sacrifice for the angelic advent. The demons around our group grow more restless, as if anticipating something. There was but one word to describe it: despair. Guts asks if the God Hand will turn Griffith into a monster in exchange for the rest of their lives, but Slan corrects him by saying that it will be Griffith himself who wills it. It will be his command. He will offer you all as a sacrifice. All lies within the currents of causality. Everything has been determined. All of your lives have been spun into this sacred point in time, the eclipse. The time is at hand for us to perform the invocation of doom. The ground from underneath Griffith rises towards the God Hand. Griffith reaches out for Guts, and Guts grabs onto his hand. However, Guts notices that by holding on, Griffith's other arm is breaking off. Guts lets go and instead stabs the huge pillar of flesh, bringing his fall to a stop. As if hell has awoken on earth, demons are overflowing the area. The band of the hawk are terrified. The God Hand is speaking to Griffith, transporting him inside of his memories, inside of his own dream. Griffith is now back to the cobblestone path of his childhood. The kid asks an old woman who appears to be weaving something for directions to the castle. Is she perhaps weaving the strand of fate itself? The woman gives Griffith directions and tells him that his friends will also be waiting for him. The kid finds himself in a dark place, so dark that he can't see a thing. But Griffith steps on something. He is standing on a pile of corpses. Griffith is covered in their blood and guts. The old woman appears again. The woman asks Griffith why he is crying. This is the one and only road to the castle. There's no other way. If you want to reach the castle, you must step on all of the fallen, or become one yourself. Griffith sees visions of people who have died for his dream, people who counted on him and died for him. Griffith cries that he cannot take them with him. They are already dead. They will never reach the castle like Griffith can. The old woman blames the death of all these people on Griffith's dream. The road to the castle is entirely paved by the dead his dream has caused. But we're not quite there yet. If Griffith wants to go all the way to the castle, the pile of bodies needs to grow more and more. You couldn't be satisfied just gazing at the castle from the back alleys. It's time for Griffith to reach out and take what's his. This whole time Griffith knew he walked on the corpses willingly. There is no reason to stop here and become one of the dead. Griffith rationalizes his actions by saying that stopping now would mean that all of that pain and despair others felt for him will come to an end. It will be for nothing. He will never get to reach that place. Griffith wakes up back at the festival, eyeing the castle in the sky, taking it by piling up corpses endlessly. That is who Griffith is. Now it's time for more corpses to pile up. The Band of the Hawk, the ones that remain still following Griffith, are next. They should forgive Griffith, even if crushed by despair. Bury it all in exchange for your past, in the ruins of your dream. That is the cruel grace of the god born of man. If even now the castle remains in Griffith's eyes more dazzling than anything, then Griffith must pile up more death, chant the word "I sacrifice" in his heart, and be granted raven black wings, upon which he shall soar in the heavens, higher than any summit. Griffith turns to face Guts. Yes, among thousands of comrades and tens of thousands of enemies, you are the only one who made me forget my dream. I sacrifice. And with that word, the band's fate is sealed. The promised time has come. Suddenly, multiple brands of sacrifice fly towards our crew, attaching themselves to them, marking them for death. With this final pile of corpses, the Hawk can ascend. Demons and apostles descend upon the Band of the Hawk, devouring them one by one. A massacre, a feast. One by one, the once proud warriors are consumed in front of Casca's eyes. The impossible has become very much a reality. Even Guts has been marked with a brand of sacrifice on the right side of his nape. The ones marked with a brand are nothing more than a feast for the child of darkness to feed upon and rise. Guts tries desperately to save Griffith, but to no avail. The desperation turns to realization as Guts understands that this is what Griffith wanted all along. Apostles charge Guts. It's time for the last stand. Outside of the realm of the Eclipse, Zod can be seen fighting with a Skull Knight, holding him back from intervening. We see Casca getting attacked by an apostle before being saved by my boy Pippin and getting carried away by Judo. The leader of the Band of the Hawk must survive. We see Corcus petrified at the sight of his comrades getting devoured, running away but getting sliced in the back. This massacre makes his mind completely break. This must be a nightmare. He pleads to be woken up. He wishes to go back to being nobody one more time. In his nightmare, he sees a naked woman, a woman in hell. Confirming his suspicion that this must be a dream, Corcus hugs the woman, before the young girl transforms into a vile apostle. Judo is riding with Casca on his horse. Casca cannot help but wonder if this hell is what Griffith truly wanted for them. Judo gets attacked from his right side. The apostle bites a good chunk of his arm off, but the quick thinking of Casca saves them as she grabs a dagger from Judo's back and defends him. Casca pleads that they return to their comrades, but Judo objects. Struggle. Keep struggling until the end of ends. Then struggle some more. There is no fighting just to die. At least, that's what Guts would say, isn't it? An apostle emerges from underneath them, knocking them off of their horse. Another apostle is waiting for them, attacking them with long tentacles. Judo protects Casca with his body. Again and again, he takes strike after strike, even using his last throwing knife to blind the apostle, giving Casca the opportunity to kill it. Judo protected his leader with his flesh, or was she more than that? I've always tried to be a smooth talker, but in the end, I missed my chance to say it, to tell you that important thing. But now, these must be my last words. You sure do cry a lot, you know. Judo collapses at Casca's feet. There isn't even any time to mourn. Casca must fight more and more apostles. However, the nightmare is simply just beginning. The apostles grab Casca and tear her armor off. Guts still fighting alone. Killing apostle after apostle, his rage is immense. Slan says that the more Guts struggles, the more precious his sacrifice will be for the new life of darkness. I'm sinking, farther from the light. Where is this? Griffith can feel the deaths of his comrades piercing through him. I wished it. I killed them. It's strange. I don't feel anything. I'm sinking. Griffith's last tear of empathy becomes a crystal. His heart will now be empty of emotions such as these. Is Griffith in the presence of God? Guts is still struggling, killing one apostle after the other. He falls off the edge of the pillar of flesh that he was on top of, ending up on the blood-filled bottom. The remains of his lost brothers are scattered around. Immense pain engulfs him. Is anyone even alive? Guts is approached by the warrior Gaston. He has no idea either what happened to the rest. Gaston recognizes that they are engulfed in a tide that will carry them, no matter how much they struggle. Griffith is a man for which legends will be written about. We got pulled into the middle of some crazy story someone else wrote. Recognizing his insignificance, Gaston dies. His head explodes from the inside. A demon was residing inside of him. After killing that demon, Guts can see Pippin standing a little further away. Guts approaches him. It seems it's just the two of them left. However, Pippin is already dead. He has been hollowed out and is being kept upright by an apostle. His body gets severed in two. The apostle is toying with Guts. Guts sees the corpses of his friends, Pippin's torso, the face of a warrior being worn as a mask, the body parts of another used as finger puppets, Carcass's head inside of the apostle that lured him in. This is more than a nightmare, more than hell itself. Guts' wrath explodes out of him until he sees an image even worse than the ones he had just witnessed. Casca is suspended in midair by an apostle. Demons are taking turns defiling her. Guts rushes in to help her, slicing demon after demon, showing the beast that there is no greater monster than man. Guts sees Casca being penetrated by an apostle. However, before he can save her, his arm gets bitten by a demon, holding him in place. He is forced to watch as over and over again, apostles force themselves onto Casca. And on top of the vile arm of God, Griffith is being reborn. The egg hatches, and from inside it sprouts the new Demon King. Void, Slan, Ubek, and Conrad, thou art our extension, our new kinsman, to wear the mantle of evil, the wings of darkness, Femto. The disgusting true nature of Griffith appears in the form of this demonic bat demon. He flies from his pod and in front of Guts. Griffith does not exist anymore, or is it that for the first time, the real Griffith has been born? Casca gets lowered next to Femto as she proceeds to grope her in front of her lover. Femto kisses Casca. Guts grabs his sword and tries to free himself from the apostle. The sword cannot penetrate the armor, but Guts doesn't care. He uses the broken sword to stab at his own arm over and over again. As Femto proceeds to defile Casca, Guts manages to cut off his own arm. Guts yells at Griffith. Griffith! Femto continues assaulting Casca. As Guts rushes in to save her, he gets knocked to the ground by more apostles. He is made to watch his one love get abused by the vilest of creatures. Casca pleads for Guts to look away. As the demon sinks its claws into Guts' eyes, the last image his right eye ever sees, before being blinded forever, is the greatest horror imaginable. Casca is discarded like trash. From the Eclipse sun emerges Skull Knight, who takes a quick swing at Void but misses, his strike going through the portal and getting deflected back at him. Skull Knight deflects his own strike and rushes towards Femto, grabbing Casca and Guts and riding out of the Eclipse. Was this a fluke? Was it meant to happen? Void gives no response. The age of darkness is upon us all. Outside, the Skull Knight gives the bodies of Casca and Guts to Rickard. These two are not yet destined to die. Zod sees that Guts has survived the Eclipse and laughs in excitement. The fight between him and Skull Knight shall be put on hold. Skull Knight tells Rickard that there is no other survivor, not a single one. Altogether, they ride away to safety. Surviving the Eclipse does not mean your struggle is over. Zod wants Guts to show him how his struggle will continue, as no more than a man through the world of darkness. In the wilderness of the dead, that extends before him. Guts, the branded swordsman. What would you do to achieve your dream? If your dream is placed within reach in front of you, what would you do to attain it? Griffith showed us that some people will stop at nothing to achieve their dream, even if their dream is nothing but a shiny castle and a fancy title. An empty dream for an empty man. A dream of wealth and status instead of love and peace. His dream, which was everyone else's nightmare, has come to life. People like that remind us that of all monsters and fiends, man is the most horrific. For ambition is but a step away from becoming apathy. Love for your dream is but a step away from hatred for everyone else's. It's combining our dream with the dreams of the people around us that can truly lead us to a kingdom for all. Thank you for watching my essay on the Eclipse. See you next time.